What it is with this march today, so it's in regards to obviously the issue that happened in 1984 where there was the Indian government attacked a Sikh place. Obviously, since the 40 years have passed, what's happened is information's come out. Like anything involving the government, you know, there's two sides to the story. One side was told, and now the other side's coming out. Justice delayed is justice denied in my eyes. But you've seen me at another protest as well, so it's fair enough. But if it's a human rights issue, I urge every single Sikh out there, do not think it's to do with Hinduism. I tell every Hindu, Sikhs don't hate you. I tell everyone one thing, your government is in a collusion with other governments to have state control. We've seen it here in England where you think you got a left and a right, Labour and Conservative will pass more laws that just restrict people. One of the examples I'm going to give is, Just Stop Oil. You're going to think, how does that tie to this? I'll tell you how it ties to it. The state get people to do things like with Islamic terror. Laws get passed. You've not heard about an Islamic terror attack for ages now, but all these laws are now in play. They go after your financial records, your state records, social media, everything. Now, there's still as many Muslims then, if not more Muslims now. They feel the same way, but they're not doing terror. Right, but all of us are under surveillance. Just Stop Oil come along, do disruptive protests. We cry out to the government. The government then say, okay, we've got to pass new laws. The normal public say, yeah, pass the laws, not realising they're going to be targeted to it next. Behind us, there's a protest for Iran. Same things happen there. Government overreach. Government are controlling people. It's just that there, obviously it's happened now. There's mobile phones. People can document. In 1984, we didn't have that same level of documentation. What's new is that to this day, there's state collusion involving England, where they are actually targeting British Sikhs. So if British Sikhs speak out against the issue, the British government will get that person's ID and pass it on to the Indian government. There was an interview with Dominic Raab in India, the minister, and they said, why don't you stop these protests? He goes, look, we've got freedom of speech. But what India wanted was England to take action against the British Sikhs. So what they're saying is, we'll do a trade deal with you, but you have to do these things for us. Now, the atrocities of 1984 are out there. People can take a look. If Sikhs were bad people, if we're the horrible nation that they think they are, we're not. Everywhere we go, Sikhs will say, look, you lot are good people. Not every Sikh, obviously, but, Sikhs are good people. We serve food to everyone. We'll try and bring up everyone. This isn't just a Sikh issue, it's a human rights issue. The one thing I will say is recently, the guy who we've come in for, Paramitpal Singh, he attempted to shut down the drug trade in Punjab. He highlighted various issues. The police came and arrested him. So what are you charged with? We don't know yet. So if that's happening today, well, there's social media. Imagine what was happening when there was no social media. The stories of police raping women, inhumane torture, people getting electrocuted. You think, well, that's happening again, it's not happening now. There's a British citizen called Jagtar Singh Johal who's currently in an Indian jail, and they haven't found him guilty of any charges. He's been there 1,000 days now. All they've got on him is he ran a website that highlighted Sikh injustices in Punjab. That's all they've got on him. But no law's been broken. There's been a Bloomfield report where they're saying, British Sikhs are doing things that they shouldn't be. The only thing I will say is, with some of these British Sikhs, like any movement, there's what you call double agents. There's various people, even here today, on one hand, they'll say words like Khalistan, but on the other hand, they'll be selling people out. They're called tout. And in any movement, you'll get people who encourage others, very similar to Anjem Chowdhury. Anjem Chowdhury is someone you know about. That type of person who gets our youth to commit, engage in tactics that aren't with the faith. And then what happens is, he walks away, but everyone else goes to jail. And these are double agents. Now what I will say is, some of them may be here. But like I say, from a humanitarian cause, if people worked out what their government was doing to them, they wouldn't be happy, especially the British government, because on one hand we want freedom for Ukraine, which is fair enough, but on the other hand you're denying it to other countries. What I would say is, stop colluding with the World Economic Forum, stop pushing your agendas on others, let people live free, let us have our sovereign rights. As a society, as a collective, the biggest shift in the narrative has to be, if humanity is one, we don't need such a big government, if that makes sense. What we need to have is people caring for each other, sharing with one another, understanding that, the way this current system, whatever it is, and they're saying, you want communism? No. What I just want is a fair society where we don't so put it this way, how you treat your weakest in society says a lot about you. We can't just keep rewarding the top 1%. Guys on the other side, where it's two prongs of the fork, the socialists and communists, they need to realise that's not an answer either. This whole idea that if you take over, you'll be better than the next person, you won't. You'll be just as, like malfeasance. People look up the word malfeasance in a public office and look at how many times that's happened. And if you're looking at it from the Indian perspective, you know, they send their own kids to study in foreign countries. If we segregate our movements, and we don't realise collectively the same things happen to us, happen to other people, that's why we're separate. If somebody looked at all these issues and said, hang on a second, there's an elite group of people putting pressure on all of us in various different... This is the thing, that, like, if you think it's a state issue, it's also a monetary issue, it's also a farming issue. They're not coming at us with a single bullet, firing it once, they're coming at us with different levels. They're poisoning the water, the farmland of Punjab, they're trying to take that water off us. We're the only state where there's rivers and resources in one area, and the people are told they can see the river going, and they're saying that water ain't for you, it's for Delhi. That's why I'd say it's not just one issue. And what happened for Khalistan wasn't just one issue. It came to multiple, where the Sikhs actually then said, hang on a second, you're taking us for idiots here. And Sanchanal Singh Ji, who actually said, don't attack women, don't attack Hindu, don't kill anyone. But if the police ring you, right, and say, right, you gotta give us £100,000 or we're gonna kill your mum. Right, if that's the police, you now, as a person, what is it you do? So God's given you the capabilities, you have to act in accordance. And if I see a swordsman, I don't recite poetry, I don't give him langar, I have to draw my sword. But he's made that happen, not me. If I'm creating tyranny, then I'm the wrong person. That's why I say to you, my brother, everyone's issues, be it Palestine, be it Israel, bro, I believe in self-determination for everyone. But I'd say there's people benefiting off our issues, selling weapons, putting countries in debt like we're seeing with African nations as well. This is the thing, I'm not ignorant to other people's problems, and I'm seeing the same thing. There's funding of wars, that's what's resulting in this. And we're seeing it right now. Everything you're seeing now, you're seeing in Ukraine. But there's a narrative. The narrative saying, oh, people are that naive, they think Russia just decided to invade. No, this goes back to 2014. So, you know, like now, if the media can't report that straight, how bad is history? If things are happening in front of our very eyes, yeah, well, the same media who said Ukraine's ultimately corrupt, they're the most corrupt country in EU, they've done it by their metrics and their numbers, now they're telling us it's the best country in the world. So how can we even trust the media? Do you know what I mean? And it's like now, like, I've got friends in Bangladesh who are telling me what's going on there. I've got friends in Pakistan who are telling me what's going on there. You know, it's like now, Imran Khan, look what he's going through. Do you know what I mean? If you look at it, a lot of this ties back to a place in Davos. Because Deep Sidhu, who was also killed by the state, he said India's problems aren't really the Indian government. The architects of this are sat in California. And he goes, if you talk about it on a higher level, it's not just us removing Modi and our problems go away. No, there's an architectural shift. There's an agenda against farmers, not just in Punjab, but in Holland, in England. Did you know farmers are getting paid to not farm in this country? So if a farmer suffers injustice here, I don't think, oh, he's not Sikh, I don't care. I know, if my family are farmers, I know there's something going on. There's a lot to talk about there. I know I've gone from point to point, but my brother, I'll tell you now, and he'll confirm it, they're not just attacking you one way. And people who play checkers get eaten by people who can play chess. MashaAllah, bro.